Good evening, everyone. Romney Smith at WTOC for The News Now. This is where we bring you stories that we're working on for you right now. Just a quick update to keep you guys in the loop. We're on various platforms right now, but I would like to highlight Facebook. That's where you can actually interact with us live right now. Say hello, ask a question. A lot of you already giving shout outs of where you're watching from. Kay Hunter watching from Pooler, and of course, Tina Jones watching from Reedsville. Long County in the house with Tabitha. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. All right, so South Carolina is putting protective measures in place to make sure that law enforcement aren't able to shuffle from job to job when they've had issues with one department. WTOC's Elizabeth Rollins has more on that story.
Tonight, we've been working on an investigation involving South Carolina law enforcement. There's a new law out there that aims at making sure that officers who've been found to have been using excessive force can no longer hop from job to job, whether they resign, whether they stay where they are, or they're fired. There's a new law that will now make sure that goes on their state record. Check out my investigation tonight.
If you go to our website, WTOC, right now, it actually is the top story, getting a lot of clicks, so you might want to check that out. Also, the city of Hinesville swore in their new police chief today. His name is Bill Kirkendall. His wife actually did the honors of pinning his badge. Kirkendall started with the Hinesville Police Department as a dispatcher back in 1984. He's held numerous positions in the department, including assistant chief and interim chief of police. So congratulations from all of us at WTOC to you. Love to see longtime servants in the community being promoted. That's certainly a good thing. All right, so keep in mind, if you own a home or a business, now is the time to check in with your insurance policies because new ones go into effect today. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has changed flood zone maps, and those go into effect today. It's the first time the agency has changed the zones in 10 years, meaning your insurance policy could go up or it could go down. A Chatham County engineer says if you fall out of a flood-prone classification, do not let your guard down. The reason is because insurance experts say between 25 and 30% of all flood losses actually happen to properties that are not listed in a flood zone. All right, so that's all we have on that story right now. Let's switch over to something else. All right, so let's take a look right now at Weather Radar. I want to show you what my iPad looks like. This is actually the WTOC First Alert Weather app. This is Futurecast, so you know kind of what's in store for us. Little bits of rain that will pass through Vidalia and Statesboro and kind of head up the way. So Hinesville will see a little bit of it. Pooler, maybe you'll get just a touch of it, but you know what, for a breakdown, we'll have a weathercast at 9 p.m. that will have even more information for you. Also, speaking of weather, tomorrow we're going to have another Storm Chaser Friday. The WTOC First Alert Weather Team will be in Richmond Hill tomorrow for this week's event. Bring your family, or you can just come out yourself and check out our weather team at the Richmond Hill Pharmacy from 4 to 7:30 p.m. You can actually tour the Storm Chaser and see how the meteorologists use the tools and instruments that are inside to forecast the weather. It's actually pretty neat if you've never seen it in person before. We do use that for storms. Some people think it's just for show. It's not. It's real. It's got various weather instruments in it. I'm not going to try and name it because I am not a meteorologist, but I can tell you they're out in storms with it. They actually forecast using the technology that's inside. So we'd love to give you a tour. Come out and meet us tomorrow from 4 to 7:30 at the Richmond Hill Pharmacy. All right, I always like to weigh in on Facebook and get any questions or comments. Charles Smith saying, hello, football. Are you counting down to Georgia or the NFL? Let me know. I'm counting down to the NFL. Even though I'm from Georgia, I didn't go to Georgia, so I'm not really paying attention to Georgia football. I know. That's not hating on anyone. I'm just saying I prefer the NFL. I'm just putting that out there. Let's see. Janine Guetta is saying, thank you for keeping us updated on things that are so important to all of us. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your comment. This is why we do The News Now, just so we can just quickly give you the top headlines that we're following right now and stories that are coming up at 11 that you might want to look into and watch WTOC. KP Hunter weighing in on the South Carolina changes, saying switching officers, saying it shouldn't just be for using excessive force. It should be for breaking any other law. she's referencing the story that Elizabeth Rollins did, saying that if officers in South Carolina are using too much excessive force, they're now looking into those officers to make sure that they can't simply transfer to another police department. And I hear you. It's actually our top story right now. So really interesting, because officers can be shuffled around as it is right now. And so it's really up to the community to look into their background. And there are certain ways they can kind of go about it and still keep their law enforcement career. But the state of South Carolina now saying they want to put an end to that to make sure cops that use excessive force too much are monitored. So thank you for weighing in on that story. We certainly appreciate it. All right, guys, I don't see any questions on any of the news stories. Remember, you can always catch us online at WTOC.com and our social media pages. Have a great night.